AITA for not pressing charges against the woman who hurt my cheating wife? On Wednesday afternoon, I was finishing cleaning the garage, something I had put off for weeks. My wife, Sarah, always complained about the mess, even though she rarely went down there. We had been married for 12 years, a life I considered stable, even enviable from the outside. We had a spacious house in our suburban neighborhood, 2 cars, plans to travel next summer, and a routine that, although predictable, gave me a certain peace. I remember the weather that day was strange, too warm for the season. The air felt heavy, as if something was about to break. I did not know that feeling was not coming from the weather. My phone vibrated in my pocket. It was an unknown number. I answered without thinking. "Mr. Thompson?" asked a dry, professional male voice. "Yes, that is me." There was a brief pause, long enough for my mind to start anticipating the worst. "I am calling from Valley Memorial Hospital. Your wife, Sarah, has been admitted to the emergency room after an incident. We need you to come as soon as possible." I felt something sink in my chest. What kind of incident? Is she alive? "She is being treated. We will explain everything when you arrive." They hung up. I do not remember closing the garage door. I do not remember the entire drive to the hospital either. Only fragments. A red light I ignored, the constant sound of the engine, and my hands gripping the steering wheel so tightly that my fingers hurt. In my head, there was only one idea. Something had happened to my wife. When I arrived, the hospital was full. Too many people, too much noise, too much movement. I approached the front desk, gave her name, and before they could answer me, someone put a hand on my shoulder. It was a police officer. "Mr. Thompson?" I nodded. "We need to speak with you." His tone was not reassuring. It was not the tone of someone bringing good news. He led me to a secluded corner of the waiting room. He did not sit down. Neither did I. "Your wife was found in the parking lot of an apartment complex," he began. "She was attacked with a sharp object." My stomach was in knots. "A robbery?" The police officer shook his head. "Not exactly." That, "not exactly," was worse than any direct answer. "Then what happened?" He looked at me for a few seconds before answering, as if deciding how much to tell me all at once. "Your wife was not alone. She was with a man. The attack was committed by that man's partner." I did not understand, or rather, I did not want to understand. "What do you mean, with a man?" The silence that followed was enough. "Do you mean they were together?" I finally responded. "They were leaving the building when the attacker confronted them." I felt as if someone had muted all the sounds around me. "No," I muttered. "That makes no sense." "We have security footage," he continued, "and several witnesses." Every word fell like a blunt blow. "Where is that man now?" "He fled as soon as the attack began." I closed my eyes for a second. There was not just one betrayal. There was a second one. "And my wife is in surgery. She has lost a lot of blood, but she arrived in time." I nodded automatically, although my mind was already somewhere else. Less than 3 hours ago, Sarah had sent me a message telling me she was staying a little later at the office. She even added a heart at the end. A heart. The police officer kept talking, mentioning details I barely processed. Number of wounds, surgical intervention, pending statement. I could only think of one thing. I did not know who the person I had been living with for 12 years was. I sat on a cold, hard plastic chair. I looked at my hands. They were dirty from working in the garage. It seemed absurd to me. There I was, worried about the tidiness of a space that meant nothing anymore. Almost 2 hours passed before a doctor came out to speak with me. "Family of Sarah Thompson?" I stood up. "I am her husband." The word husband felt strange to say. "The surgery was complicated, but we managed to stabilize her," he explained. "The wounds did not affect vital organs, but there was significant muscle damage. She will need time and rehabilitation." I nodded. "Can I see her in a few minutes?" I waited in silence. I did not feel relief, nor anger yet, just a kind of emptiness, as if my mind had disconnected to protect itself. When they finally let me in, the room was dimly lit. The sound of the monitors set the rhythm of something I still did not know if I wanted to save. Sarah was pale, paler than I had ever seen her. Her eyes were closed, but upon hearing the door, she opened them slowly. She looked at me, and in that instant, something inside me broke definitively. "Brian," she whispered. Her voice was weak, almost unrecognizable. I took a step toward the bed, but I stopped before getting too close. "I am sorry," she said. 2 words, Two words that in another context could have meant everything. Here, they meant nothing. No, I replied calmly. You are not sorry. She tried to sit up slightly, but the pain stopped her. It is not what it looks like. I almost smiled. It is always exactly what it looks like. Her eyes filled with tears. It was a mistake. A mistake does not last for months, I interrupted her. She fell silent. That confirmed everything for me. How long? I asked. She did not answer immediately. How long? I repeated. 5 months, she finally whispered. 5 months. Roughly 150 days. 150 days of lies, excuses, deleted messages, avoided glances. And today, I asked, was it also a mistake? She did not answer. There was no need. She reached out her good hand toward me, trying to touch me. I took a step back. That small gesture seemed to affect her more than any word. Brian, please. No, I said with a calmness that surprised even me. Not anymore. Her breathing accelerated. You cannot leave me like this. I looked at her for a few seconds. You already left me 5 months ago. Silence. I am going to call your sister, I continued. She can take care of you when you get out of here. I have nowhere to go. You should have asked yourself that earlier. Her tears were constant now, but they no longer affected me. And him, I added, the man you risked everything for? She lowered her gaze. He left, she admitted. Of course he left. Then I suppose you make bad choices in everything, I replied. The monitors started to beep at a faster pace. 2 nurses came in. I was already walking toward the door. Brian, she said one last time. I did not stop. I did not look back because at that moment I understood something with brutal clarity. I was not losing my wife. I was stopping living a lie. I left the hospital with no clear direction, though my feet took me straight to the parking lot. The night air was cold, but it helped me think. For the first time in hours, everything started to take shape. It was not just what had happened. It was everything that had been happening without me seeing it, or without me wanting to see it. I sat inside the car and rested my forehead against the steering wheel. I did not cry. I did not scream. I did not feel that kind of immediate pain one expects in situations like this. What I felt was more dangerous, clarity. I turned on my phone. I had several missed calls from friends, from coworkers, even from a number I recognized as Sarah's sisters. I did not answer anyone. I opened our conversation. Her last message was still there. Leaving late today. Do not wait up for me. Followed by a red heart. I stared at that heart for a few seconds. Then I locked the screen. I started the car and drove home. When I walked in, everything was exactly as I had left it that morning. The kitchen clean, the table tidy, the hallway light on. Normalcy. A normalcy that now seemed like a poorly put together stage set. I went up to the bedroom without turning on the lights. I did not want to see too much yet, but I knew what I had to do. I opened the closet. Her side. Clothes perfectly hung, shoes lined up, perfumes in a row. Everything looked impeccable, too impeccable. I started taking out garments one by one, carefully at first, then without any kind of delicacy. Every dress, every blouse, every coat, everything started falling onto the bed. And with every garment came a memory. That blue dress, our anniversary dinner. That white jacket, a friend's wedding. Those black shoes, the day she got her promotion. Now everything was contaminated, not by what they were, but by what they hid. I went to the nightstand drawer. That was where I found the first real blow. A second phone, small, discreet, turned off. I stared at it for several seconds before turning it on. It had no passcode. That surprised me. Or maybe she no longer cared about hiding it well. The messages were there. Long, daily, constant conversations, with a name saved simply as K. I opened the chat. I did not need to read much. I cannot wait to see you tomorrow. He almost got suspicious today. We have to be more careful. With you everything is different. I wish I could wake up next to you every day. I felt something in my chest. It was not sadness. It was something else, something colder, more definitive. I kept scrolling down. Photos, selfies, hotel rooms, voice messages, promises, lies turned into routine. 5 months was not a mistake. It was a second life, and I was the only one who did not know. I turned off the phone and left it on the bed. Then I sat down, looked at the room, our bedroom, and for the first time I understood that it had never really been ours. It had been shared with someone else. I got up, went to the garage, and took out several large heavy-duty bags. I went back upstairs and started packing all her things. Clothes, shoes, cosmetics, accessories, without folding, without organizing, just taking them out. The process was fast, efficient, almost mechanical. I was not destroying things. I was removing lies. When I finished, I took the bags to the garage and left them against the wall. Then I went back inside, poured myself a glass of water. I did not even think about alcohol. I wanted to be completely aware of every decision because this time I was not going to hesitate. I turned on my laptop, looked up my family law attorney's number, and wrote him a brief message. I need to file for divorce immediately. The grounds are infidelity. I have proof. He did not take long to reply. We will talk first thing in the morning. Perfect. I closed the computer. The silence in the house was absolute, but it was not uncomfortable. It was clean. I sat on the couch. For the first time in a long time, I had no unanswered questions. I now knew why she arrived late, why she protected her phone so much, why she seemed distant lately. Everything fit in the worst possible way, but it fit. The next morning, I woke up early. I had not slept much, but I did not feel tired. It was as if my body had decided it no longer needed to rest. I had something more important to do. The phone started ringing. It was Sarah's sister. I answered. "Brian, finally," she said in a nervous voice. "Are you at the hospital?" "No." Silence. "Sarah asked for you," she continued. "She is in very bad shape." "She is alive," I replied. "That is what is important." "Brian, I will stop by later," I lied. "I have things to do right now." I did not wait for an answer. I hung up. At exactly 9 o'clock, I was at the attorney's office. I showed him everything, the messages, the photos, the phone. He did not need much time. "It is a clear-cut case," he said. "There will not be many complications." I want it to be fast. "It will be." He paused. "There are significant shared assets." I shook my head. "The house is in my name. I bought it before the marriage." He nodded. "That simplifies things a lot." "I want her to leave with nothing," I added. I did not say it with anger. I said it as a fact. The attorney looked at me for a few seconds. "With this evidence, it is highly likely." I signed the initial documents. Every signature felt like closing a door definitively. When I left the office, I did not go to the hospital. I had nothing to say and nothing to listen to. Instead, I went back home, changed the locks, and called a home security company. Not out of fear, but for boundaries, absolute clarity. In the afternoon, I received a message from an unknown number. "This is Kevin." I stared at the name. I did not need any more explanation. "We need to talk." Sure, now he wanted to talk. I did not answer. The next message arrived a few seconds later. "This is not what you think." That was when I smiled for the first time. Because it always is. I did not reply to Kevin that day, nor the next. I let his messages pile up as evidence of what it really was, desperation. On the third day, he wrote something different. "Sarah says you do not want to see her. She is devastated." I read the message without any visible reaction. Then I blocked the number. I had no interest in hearing alternative versions of a story I already knew all too well. That same afternoon, I decided to go back to the hospital. Not for her, but for closure. When I walked into the room, Sarah was awake, paler than before, with dark circles under her eyes and a fragility that contrasted with the image I had of her. Upon seeing me, her eyes filled with a mix of relief and fear. "I thought you were not coming," she said quietly. I did not answer immediately. I stood at a distance, just like the last time. "I only came to tell you something important," I finally replied. She swallowed hard. "Brian, please, can we fix this?" I slowly shook my head. "There is nothing to fix." Her eyes filled with tears again. "It was a mistake." I interrupted her. "Do not use that word anymore." Silence. "I already spoke with an attorney," I continued. "The divorce process has already started." Her expression changed completely, as if she had not expected me to act so fast. "What?" she whispered. "But I am here. I cannot even walk properly." "That does not change what you did." "Brian, you cannot do this right now." "I did it when I found everything," I replied. "This is just the consequence." She tried to sit up, but the pain forced her to stay still. "I have nowhere to go," she said in almost a whisper. I looked at her for a few seconds. "That is no longer my problem." It was at that moment she understood I was serious. "I really do love you," she added desperately. That phrase, which used to mean so much, now sounded hollow. "No," I replied calmly. "You love the comfort." Absolute silence. You only needed me. Her tears were constant now, but they no longer had any effect. Your things are in the garage, I added. Your sister can come by and pick them up. Brian, do not come back to the house. I turned around. And him? She asked suddenly. I stopped. Kevin. She nodded slightly. Blocked. I replied without turning around. Like everything else. I walked out of the room, this time without any hesitation, without any cracks. That night, the story started to slip out of our control. A mutual acquaintance sent me a link, a video recorded from a phone. I opened it. The quality was poor, but enough. You could see Sarah leaving the building with Kevin. They were laughing, too close, too comfortable. Then another woman appears on the scene, shouting, a sudden movement, chaos. The video cuts off before the worst part, but no more was needed. It was enough for anyone to understand what had happened. The comments underneath were relentless. Just another story of infidelity. It always ends the same. The guy ran away. What a coward. I closed the video. I felt no shame, not even anger. Just one more confirmation. The next morning, my attorney called me. This has become public, he said. That works in your favor. Perfect. The other party does not have much room for a defense. She does not need to, I replied. She has already done enough. I hung up. That same day, I received another call. This time I did answer. Brian, said a female voice. Yes. I am Rachel, Kevin's wife. Silence. I want to talk to you. I was not surprised. Tell me. Not over the phone, she replied. We need to see each other. I thought for a few seconds. All right. We met at a quiet coffee shop away from the busy areas. When I saw her, I understood everything. She was not a weak woman, but she was broken. Thank you for coming, she said. I nodded. I imagine you know everything. Enough, I answered. She took out her phone and showed me messages. The same patterns, the same phrases, the same recycled lies. He was planning to leave me, she said, but he did not have the courage. I did not respond. Do you know what he did when everything happened? She added. I looked at her. He ran away. I nodded. I know that too. Rachel let out a brief, bitter laugh. What a coincidence. We sat in silence for a few seconds. I am going to file for divorce and pursue legal action against him, she continued, for abandonment and other matters. Do it. And you? Divorce. She nodded. I guess that is the only thing left. No, I replied. There is also learning. She looked at me curiously. Learning what? To not ignore the signs. That phrase stayed floating between us. We finished our coffee without saying much more. There was no need. We both understood. We were not allies, but we were on the same side of the story. Days later, everything started to fall apart for Kevin. His name was circulating. His work was affected. Clients canceling, reputation plummeting. The guy who thought he was untouchable now avoided going out in the street. Sarah, for her part, was discharged from the hospital. She went to live with her sister. She tried to contact me several times. Calls, messages, even emails. I did not answer any of them, not out of pride, but because there was nothing left to say. The legal process moved quickly, too quickly for someone who still did not understand what she had lost. One afternoon, coming home, I found something at the door, an envelope with no return address. I opened it inside. There was a handwritten letter. I recognized her handwriting instantly. I did not read it right then. I went inside, closed the door, sat down, and then I opened it. The letter was longer than I expected. Several pages. That already said a lot. I took a deep breath before I started reading. Brian, I do not know if you are going to read this, but I needed to try. I know I have no right to ask you for anything, but I at least want to explain myself, even though I know it probably does not matter anymore. I paused. It was already off to a bad start. I kept going. I never wanted things to end like this. What happened was not planned. It started as something small, something I thought I could control. I felt lonely, although I know that sounds absurd after everything we had. That was where I almost stopped reading. I felt lonely. The oldest, most repeated, most useless excuse. But I continued. Kevin appeared at a time when I was confused. He made me feel seen, heard, special. I know it sounds cliché, but it is the truth. And when I realized I was crossing a line, it was already too late. I shook my head. It is never too late. There is always a moment to stop. She chose not to. I did not stop loving you. I just lost my way. And when the attack happened, When he left, I understood everything. I understood what I had destroyed. That part made me stop, not out of emotion, but out of clarity. She did not understand it before. She understood it when she was abandoned, not when she betrayed. That changed everything. Every day since then has been a reminder of my mistakes. Not just because of the physical pain, but knowing that I lost you for something that was not even real. I sighed. Finally, a truth. I do not expect you to come back. I know I do not deserve it. I just wanted you to know that I am truly sorry, and if I could go back, I would change everything. I closed my eyes for a second. That phrase always arrives late. Take care, and thank you for everything you did for me, even when I did not know how to value it. Sarah. I folded the letter calmly and left it on the table. I felt no desire to tear it up or to keep it. It simply stopped mattering the moment I finished reading it. I got up, went to the kitchen, turned on the faucet, and let the water run for a few seconds. Then I went back, picked up the letter, and threw it in the trash. No ceremony, no symbolism, just one more action. That night, I slept deeply for the first time since this whole thing started. No interruptions, no thoughts running in circles, just silence. Real silence. The following weeks were practical, signatures, documents, hearings. The process was fast, the evidence was clear, the messages, the second phone, the public context of the incident, everything played in one single direction. The judge barely needed any time. Divorce is granted on the grounds of proven infidelity, he said in a neutral tone. Sarah did not look up. No financial compensation is awarded to the defendant. Silence in the courtroom. The end. As simple as that. 12 years reduced to a few legal sentences. Leaving the courthouse, I did not approach her, nor did she approach me. It was as if we no longer existed on the same plane. Days later, I received indirect news. Nothing surprising. Sarah had moved into a small apartment across town, far away, without comforts, without the life she was used to. Her physical recovery was progressing, but slowly. Her right arm had not fully healed, a minor but permanent damage. Enough to always remind her. Kevin, on the other hand, fell faster than I expected. Rachel's legal action moved forward. His reputation crumbled. He lost clients, lost credibility. He ended up leaving his job. The last time I heard about him, he was trying to start over in another city. Away from everything. Away from everyone. As if that could erase anything. One Saturday afternoon, I decided to sell the house, not out of necessity, but because it no longer made sense to stay, not for memories, but for meaning. While the buyers toured the rooms, I observed in silence. To them, it was a house. To me, it was a finished story. I signed off on the sale without hesitating. Weeks later, I moved to another place, smaller, simpler, more mine. One night, while organizing some boxes, I found a photo. The two of us smiling on a trip. I looked at it for a few seconds, and for the first time, I felt nothing. No nostalgia, no anger, no sadness, just distance. I put it back inside the box, closed it, and went on with what I was doing, because in the end, that was what was left, not the pain, not the betrayal, but the ability to move forward without carrying it. Months later, I ran into someone who knew Sarah. I did not ask, but they told me anyway. She is not doing well. I nodded, not out of satisfaction, but out of understanding. Decisions have consequences. Always. That night, returning home, I opened the window. The air came in clean, light. I sat on the couch and stayed in silence for a few minutes thinking about everything. Not about what I lost, but about what I regained. Clarity, self-respect, peace of mind, and something more important than all that, the certainty that the truth, even if it hurts, is always better than living in a comfortable lie. My story with Sarah did not end in the hospital. It ended the day I understood that staying would have meant betraying myself, and that was something I was never willing to do again. Comment. I've been reflecting on how much strength it takes to truly value yourself when everything feels uncertain. You deserve to set clear boundaries that protect your heart and your peace. Choosing honesty over comfort is never easy, but it opens the door to real healing. I believe taking responsibility for your own happiness is one of the most loving things you can do for yourself. Sometimes, the kindest decision is learning to walk away from what no longer serves you. I hope this encourages you to pay attention to those quiet signs before they become louder. You are far stronger than you realize, and you have the power to build a calmer, more honest life. Choosing peace doesn't mean giving up. It simply means finally choosing yourself. Let me know in the comments what this story made you think about in your own life. If you liked it, don't forget to leave a comment and support the channel by subscribing. See you in the upcoming stories.